Well, it has been one of the big mysteries since Twitter filed for an IPO, but now we may know when the company is going to start trading, and the news may have been inadvertently disclosed by Twitter itself. Circle your calendars for Friday, November 15th. That could be the big day after Twitter's updated S1 showed that some employees can start selling stock on February 15th. Since the typical lockup period before insiders can sell shares is 90 days, that means the Twitter IPO could happen on November 15th. Regardless, we now have just 15 days until Twitter can begin its investor roadshow under SEC rules. For more, I want to bring in Bloomberg News editor Ari Levy. And we found it. It's right there. We highlighted it. I mean, they did put this in the S1 that employees can start selling shares on November, the date is February 15th. Does this mean the IPO is going to happen on November 15th?
So Privco's the one who put out the report, who actually found this number. Their case is that that's what Twitter was indicating, is that the IPO would be happening November 15th. This is 90 days, gets you to February 15th, and that's when employees, only a small set of actual shareholders, all the employees, could begin to sell their shares. But the date can change. There's no reason why between the lawyers, the bankers, the company, the investors, they can't say, the market doesn't look great, we're going to push that date back, or we're going to pull it forward. So this is definitely not set in stone.
It could happen earlier, it could happen later.
Yes.
This was a mistake, though, wasn't it? They don't normally put this information in the filing this early.
Yeah, so again, Privco's case is that it was a mistake. It's hard for us to know without actually having talked to the people who drafted the S1. The curious thing is that you don't have other dates in there that would lead you to believe that they did it on purpose. So they talk about 180-day lockup. That would be for the big investors, for the executives, for the board members, and it doesn't say when that 180-day period ends. So that would lead you to believe that perhaps that was left in there by mistake.
What we do know is that they can start their roadshow 21 days after the filing goes public, and we're now, several days into that. So that would put us at the last week of October that we're looking at a potential roadshow to start, right?
Yeah, and then you figure a 2-week roadshow, and right after that you begin trading. So if all things go as we think they are planned, and who knows what happens with the government shutdown or the debt ceiling, all of those things could get in the way. But if everything goes as we think based on the numbers that Twitter would like it to happen, we would be looking at mid-November.
So could the shutdown change the timing here?
The shutdown is the wild card that nobody seems to really have the answer to, because it's not just the shutdown, it's the debt ceiling. So if the markets really just crater from here, it's hard to imagine that the people behind the scenes at Twitter would look at that and say, now's a great time to go out. You don't want to go out in a situation where no one's buying stock.
Right. And is there a danger, Thanksgiving's at the end of November, is there a danger this gets pushed to next year because you get too close to the holidays and you don't want to go out at that time?
Yeah, it would certainly be a less severe scenario for them to push the IPO out to next year than it would for them to go out in a situation where there's just not very much optimism around the offering. They can put out they can push the deal and still operate perfectly fine as a company. It's a lot harder to do that when your stock is getting punished.
Is there any sense that Twitter CEO Dick Costolo's exchange over Vivek Wadhwa and criticism over not having a woman on the board, could that cause a snag in things?
I would say unlikely. There are plenty of issues that companies face when they go public about the structure of boards, the structures of their executive staff. Those things tend to not get in the way of the offering themselves. They have plenty of time to smooth that out in the months and the years afterwards.